Hey guys, welcome to the video. We're doing this a little bit differently today. I wanted this to be more like a one-on-one feel type video where I just speak to you with really very few cuts, very few edits, and no script or anything, because I just want to have a conversation with you and kind of let my thoughts flow when it comes to this topic. So as you have already seen, the title is Why Am I Not a Professional Footballer? Or Why Did I Never Become a Professional Footballer? And the reason I wanted to create this is because, one, I get asked this question all the time, if I am, if I'm, and when I say that I'm not, people ask me why. And I also kind of want to go over some of the pitfalls that you need to avoid if you actually want to pursue professional football, because the fact of the matter is I've done a lot of things that prevented me from doing that. I'm not, nothing caused me to not be a pro. I'm not a pro because I didn't do what I needed to do. And so I want to go over some of those things that I didn't do, and some of those things that that held me back, which were self-inflicted, so you don't fall for the same things. And so you kind of get more of an idea of what it takes to get to that level. And if you listen to the interview I did with my college coach, I did 2 of them already, we have a 3rd one coming out, I believe he kind of gave you a little idea of what it takes, the dedication it takes to become a professional. He having coached players who have gone on to be pro, and he was a pro himself, so he knows. So the first thing I want you to recognize is it doesn't matter how talented you are, how skillful you are currently, that's not going to be enough to get you to the pro level. And the reason I say this, and this is specifically for parents or for young players, parents, never tell your kid that they are talented. Never tell your kid that they are special or gifted in any way, because what's going to happen, and this is what happened to me at a very young age, at age like 5, 6, 7, I was told that I have just a natural talent for football. I was playing better than most of the kids my age. I was playing up age groups, and it was just clear that I had an understanding of the game and I was very good at it. But what people don't realize is it wasn't down to a talent. It was just down to the fact that my parents gave me a ball when I was like 2 years old, and I became obsessed with it. And I even have videos of me walking, learning how to walk while also trying to kick a ball and then falling on my butt every time I take a few steps and try and kick it. So the only reason I was good by the age of 7 or 8 and better than a lot of the other kids there, and considered talented, was because I'd already been playing the game for a few years and I'd already become obsessed with it. So it didn't come down to talent, it came down to, in a weird way, training, although at that point it was just for fun, so I wasn't doing like deliberate practice or anything at 3 or 4 years old, but I was playing probably every day. I was kicking a ball around with my parents or some friends, and so I got good at the game. But what I was told was that I was gifted, I was talented, and this really messed me up a little bit mentally, because over time it gave me this entitled view of myself about how I'm just better than other players, and because I'm naturally gifted, it's always going to be that way. So the first pitfall to avoid, and the first one I fell into when it came to wanting to be a pro, and I very much wanted to be when I was younger, it's all I wanted to be, the first pitfall to avoid is thinking that your talent or the skill you currently have is going to be enough to get you there, because it won't. Because I saw players who were once not as good as me, some of them not even close, go on to achieve more than me, whether in the collegiate game, professional game, or whatever it is. And so the first lesson really is you have to work hard, you have to be dedicated, you have to be committed, and you have to do the right things. And one of the reasons I'm not a pro and never became a pro was because I didn't do those things. I never developed that commitment or dedication to do the things. I was playing all the time, but I wasn't doing deliberate practice. I still had this very entitled idea that I'm just going to make it. And of course, I got rid of this luckily later, when I went to college, but by that point, I'd missed so many prime years to be developing my game even more than where I already was. So the first thing is you are going to have to work your ass off to become a pro, regardless of how good you are now and regardless of how talented you are. Never think you are as good as you're ever going to get, and never think that where you are now is going to even be enough. You always have to be constantly going to that next level. Never think where you are currently is enough. And if you think you're talented, that's great, but work hard alongside that talent. That's what's going to get you to the level you want to be at, whether collegiate, pro, whatever it is. So that was the first pitfall. Second pitfall was not getting a grasp of the mental attributes of the game early on. It wasn't until a lot later, probably in my late teens to 20s, that I developed confidence in my game. When I was younger, the lack of confidence didn't come from the lack in my ability, it came from other things, but I wasn't a very confident player. So I'd have games where I'd score hat tricks, but then the next game I would do almost nothing, get a few touches on the ball, miscontrol even easy things because I doubted myself, and I didn't put enough emphasis on the mental side of the game. Now, as a 13 or 14-year-old, I didn't know to work on those things. I didn't really have YouTube to call upon, but you guys do. So especially for you younger players and even you older players, make sure you're putting in as much time towards the mental attributes of your game, your confidence, your ability, your belief in yourself, these kind of things, because they're just as important as those physical attributes. Next pitfall is kind of one that I already mentioned, which is the hard work, but it's not just working hard in the sense that you're just grinding, and you're just busy being busy. You also need to be dedicated in always looking for more ways to improve. So what I mean is you need to be looking up what can improve your nutrition so that you can function better in matches and so your body becomes better. You need to look up and become dedicated towards, making sure your body is fit, making sure you're in incredible shape, making sure you're doing what you need to do to give yourself every single possible advantage when you step out onto the pitch. And that's another thing I didn't do. I never was someone who became super disciplined with my fitness or my body, and I completely regret it. And if I could go back to when I was 13 or 14, when around the time I would have probably started to start lifting more and do more strength training, I would go back and tell that version of myself to get on that and to remember how important it is to do these things, even though they don't involve the ball, even though it's not, necessarily the fun stuff I like doing, how necessary it is if I want to get to the level I wanted to get at that point. So you need to be dedicated in all areas. It's not just about doing your drills and becoming good at one thing. You're, scoring goals, which is the most fun. I get it. Becoming a high-level player is not always fun. It just isn't. If you want to get to that top level, it's going to take dedication and commitment that is not going to be that fun. Now, you can probably do things to make it a little more fun. Flow state induces, more fun, and it's more fun that way, but you can't get around it. You're going to do things you don't like. You're going to eat things that you're initially not going to like. You're going to have to do exercises that are very hard. You have to stay consistent. You have to be very disciplined. You have to get up and work out even when you don't want to. These are the sacrifices you have to make in order to get to that level, and I did not make those sacrifices, and it's one of the big reasons that I never became a pro and why I'm not at this point. So learning from that, don't do what I did. If you want to get to that level, you have to make sacrifices. You can't go out and party all the time. You're going to have to sacrifice some of the times you would hang out with your friends in order to go and practice. You can't be playing video games all the time. You can't be eating McDonald's or fast food all the time. You have to discipline yourself. And one of the biggest things that hurt me when I was younger is I never really learned discipline until my 20s. And sometimes I still struggle with it today because for a lot of my teens, I never formed any good discipline. So if you're in your teen years or even before, learning to discipline yourself now is going to be something that helps you so much as you grow as a player, but also helps you as you grow as a person. Discipline is an incredible thing to learn how to do in general, because if you can discipline yourself to do one hard thing, you can discipline yourself to do another. And so not only would it help you as a footballer, but I truly believe learning how to discipline yourself, to be able to resist certain things, distractions, and things that are not towards your goal while staying consistent with the things you need to be staying consistent with, I think that's an invaluable quality to have that's going to take you far in football and in life in general. All right, guys, so let's recap real quick over the main reasons why I believe I never became a pro. One, it's not down to I wasn't good enough or didn't have the talent or the skill or whatever. It's I didn't work hard enough. That's the big thing. I was entitled and thought that I was better than I was, or thought that I just deserved to be one of the first players on the team sheet, that I just deserved to become a pro because my whole life I was told I was talented, I'm better than these kids, I'm naturally gifted. And so if you've been told that and that belief is in your head, you need to get rid of that belief and replace it with the only way I'm going to get to the level I want to get to is to work hard, be dedicated, to focus on what the goal is, and to always continually be growing. That's how you get there. You don't get there by just being talented. So if anyone's told you that, don't listen. It's a nice thing for someone to say, but that nice thing they say to you, that you're talented, you're gifted, that could be your undoing. So don't fall for that one. Just remember, it's the hard work and the smart work combined that's gonna get you there. Second reason I didn't is because I was not committed. I did not do everything in every area I needed to do. Sure, I was outside every day practicing my ball skills, my shooting and all that, but I was not doing the strength training, for example. I was not doing enough with my fitness. I, at one point in time, could definitely play a 90-minute match, but I would never be the most fit player on the field. And if you want to get to that level, you might as well stack the deck in your favor and become one of the most fit players. The best players, they leave no stone unturned. They're completely committed in every area. Their diet, their nutrition, their mind, clarity, confidence, their skills, also their fitness, also their strength. So you have to be 100% committed and leave no stone unturned. Next thing that really hurt me was the mental side of the game. I didn't develop this early enough, and for you guys that are younger, or if you're older as well, start getting a grasp on that mental side. It's so important because I don't care how good you are. You could be the best player in the world, but if you don't believe you are the best player, if you don't have that confidence in your own ability, it does not matter. It goes out the window. All right, guys, so I think that's everything. I had to do a few cuts there to gather my thoughts, but ultimately, if you really boil it down, why am I not a professional? I didn't put in the work needed to become a professional. Now, a lot of that was down to maybe I didn't have the information, I didn't have the mentors or whatever, but when you really take it all, it's my fault, and I'm not going to justify why I didn't become it. Did I have the tools? I probably did. But there's no use in looking back and going, what if? And I don't want you guys to have to do the same thing. So if you are at that age, if you are an aspiring pro player, take these things to heart, because this is what a lot of the stuff that prevented me, and it was my own doing, from getting to that level, or at least becoming the best player I possibly could, and seeing how far I could have gone. So take what I'm saying here and apply it to your game if you want to see how far you can go, if you are motivated to get to that professional level or Division I collegiate level. I don't know what your goals are. All right, guys, so I hope this has been insightful in some way. I don't know if I've ever talked about this before, but I wanted to discuss it because I don't want you making those same mistakes, and I want you to get a little more of an idea of what it does take to get to that level. You have to be willing to do what the people like me when I was younger were not willing to do. Is be the guy who stands out from the crowd. Be the one who's putting in the work. Be the one who's disciplined, and it will take you places. All right, guys, so thank you for tuning in. Let me know if you like videos like this, where I just kind of talk to you and there's no edits and it's just literally me talking to you in the camera. And I'll make some more on some other topics that you guys want me to cover. Anyway, guys, thank you for tuning in. Please like and share the video. I will put 2 other videos up on the screen somewhere if I can fit them. So if you want to learn anything else, if you want to improve your game even more, go take a look at those things. And I will see you in the next video. Cheers, guys, and take care.